Believe in God. How we came into existence? Have you ever asked yourself?
I have, yeah.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
brought up Anglican.
Yeah.
It was kind of just pushed on me at school, and then haven't really dived into religion too much.
You know, I will tell you something. Many of the people who are born in different religion, in different faiths, especially certain sect of Christianity, they kind of been put off from following any religion because of the faith system that they have, the strict faith system which has no reasons behind it. But this is not the way, and this is not the situation for every single faith. So that's why when you say, if you don't say, I am not a God believer, I do understand this, but deep inside you, you already believe in the existence of God, correct? There is a creator. Higher power? No, at all. Okay, so have you used any logical or, for example, any reasonable argument to support what you believe, that there is nothing there?
I don't know, just deep down I think as in yes and no.
Okay, yes and no. Let's start with yes. Okay, yes. And then we'll discuss about the no now.
No, it's a hard one because I think not knowing the question's something doesn't mean it's one way. Or like me not knowing, say, how we all created.
Good.
I don't necessarily, I'm not trying to answer that question.
No, actually, this question, it's in our mind, all of us. We keep asking also our question about our existence. There are three fundamental questions. We are born with these questions. It's in our nature, and we keep questioning ourselves from time to time. We may neglect the answer. We may neglect to question ourselves, but it's there. Firstly, how we came into existence, meaning where we came from. What are we doing here? That's the next question. The third question, where are we going to? These are three things. Yeah. So, for example, if you woke up and you are on a ship, for example, yeah. First of all, the first question you say, where I came from. Yeah. The ship must sail from somewhere. Yeah. And as well, the second question, what I'm doing here on this ship? Am I a tourist? What I'm doing? The third question is, what I'm going to. Yeah. These are the three things. So the same thing, you in this life, you're exactly the same thing. You're born here, and then the first question we should ask ourselves, where we came from. What's the purpose of our creation? What's the purpose that we are here? And then where we are heading, where we are going to. So that's why, since we all born with this, that leads us to the question about the existence of a creator. Now, since we are here, do you believe you exist?
I do.
You believe you exist? You're not someone who says, I don't know. so you know you exist. All right, that's good. At least we have a starting. At least that's a good starting point, at least. So since you believe you exist, now the question is how you came into existence.
From my mother.
From your mother, okay. How this goes back all the way to the first, and then this universe, how it came into existence.
I don't have the answer to that.
Good. Either then let's use our own reasonable and reasons. Let's use our own ears, because we have this, machine which is between our ears. Let me say this joke. They said there is someone that literally he has any single brain cells in his mind at all. And then they said how someone could live and has no brain cells. By the way, it's a joke. It's a hypothesis. It's not real, but it's a joke. So then the doctors, they open up his skull, but then they said they found only one single string. They said, oh, that string, what does it do? So they cut the string, then the ears fall. So that string was just holding the ears. It's a joke for you. The point is, of course, all of us, we have brains and we think, and so that's why our own reasons leads us to few points. First of all, that either this universe created itself by itself, or this universe was there always, or this universe was created by a creator. Yeah, so there is something that has created this universe. So So now here, if we wanted to use this our own analogy, to say, can this universe create itself by itself?
Yeah.
Can it? Can it do it?
Anything. I won't say anything's possible, but I don't know.
Let me use a similar hypothesis.
Yeah.
Can you give birth to yourself?
No.
Do you know why not? Because you have to pre-exist before existence, meaning you have to be there to produce yourself in order to, to be there. So, and it's impossible, yeah? So to say the universe created itself by itself, it has to pre-exist before its existence, and that's totally nonsense. And to say this universe was there always that all the cosmologists, they believe that the universe has a starting point. There is a starting point, that the universe existed. Not just that, not just only it has a starting point. Now, as well, infinity, it is a hypothesis. It is not something, it doesn't exist in the real life. So we cannot use infinity, because I am a mathematician myself. So infinity is just only, it's a hypothesis. It's an assumption. It's a
Come from somewhere.
yeah. So, but it doesn't exist in real life. There is nothing called infinity in reality. So it has to be finite, meaning there is a starting point. So since everything in this universe is finite, so it has.
I know you touched on it, but what's Islam?
I will come to the point what Islam says. Then we will be end up with one single answer. This universe was created by a creator. Do you agree?
No.
You don't agree. So even with these, when we nullify the other assumptions, yet you still is not convincing.
Nah, I have a hard time believing.
It's not about belief. It's about understanding. We exist. So since you said we exist, our existence,
Where does it come from?
it has a starting point. This starting point.
I agree, everything has to start somewhere, for sure.
Okay, good. So this universe has a starting point. Now this starting point, it's impossible to the universe creating itself by itself. So there has to be a higher power to create this universe. It has to be. There is no any other option. We are left up with no options. So if you say maybe there is whatever, but maybe there is dragon, whatever. Some people believe in dragon, but still we are not talking about maybe. We're talking about real things which is in reality, and things which has to be understood properly, with our own reasons, and so that's why with our own reasoning, so it's impossible this universe to create itself by itself. It's impossible this universe was there always, so it has to have a starting point to be created by a higher power. Do you agree?
A higher power, yes.
Good.
But
Fine.
maybe not a higher power in terms of
Being God.
a God.
No problem. So let's agree on this. Let's
Something
agree.
had to happen, for sure.
Let's agree there is a higher power created this universe. Let's agree on this.
Are you talking about a God?
I'm talking about a higher power. And then we'll talk about
something.
and then we will start defining what this higher power.
I agree.
So there is a higher power.
Something had to happen for the start.
Yeah. So there is a higher power created this universe. That's my point.
Okay.
So this higher power, is it powerful?
Of course it is.
Yeah. Does it have knowledge to create?
Does it have knowledge? When you're saying it, I don't know if it...
The power. It refers to the power.
The power is... When you... I don't know if I agree saying it, because...
Whatever. Leave that. We're not discussing about these small things. We're talking about this higher power should have knowledge to create this universe.
Should have knowledge. Even when you say knowledge, it signifies to me that it thinks, and I don't know if the higher power thinks.
Let me tell you, we'll come to the think or not doesn't think. Now, if you say it doesn't have any knowledge, then this universe, with all these sophistications in this universe, all these sophistications in your body, all these sophistications in everything that's surrounding us, it cannot happen randomly. So randomness, It's not the right choice to say. For example, it's not random that your eyes are there. It's not random that your heart is there. It's not random that your stomach is there. Your digesting system and all of these. These are things. Those are not random things, and it cannot be random. It cannot come by randomness. It cannot come out of chaos. Meaning, some people will assume if it came from random. So they said that the cells keep experiencing things until they fit the way that it is. Which is now the question is, where are the creatures or the things which is similar to human being that has digesting system externally, and then it discovered that to be externally it doesn't work, then to put it inside. Meaning it has to decide to do things. So that's why when I'm talking about the higher power to create this sophisticated universe, the way that it is, the structure of the universe itself, the structure of us as a human being, the structure of our system, the structure of our bodies, the structure of the environment, everything around us, it cannot come out of chaos. It should come out of knowledge. Do you agree?
I don't know.
Let me make
Kind of
it.
lost me a bit.
Let me make it easier for you. Do you think you are wearing socks? Yeah, I could see. Yeah?
Yeah, very sucks.
Okay, good. Do you think you need to have knowledge to create these socks?
To create it.
Yeah, to make it.
Yeah, we have to have
Do
knowledge.
you think it could come out of randomness? People, they start putting socks in their nose and their ears, and then, let's put it my
I
foot.
think human has had to have knowledge to.
Good. So they have knowledge to create the sock, yeah? Don't you think the power that has created you should have more knowledge than the human being which they have created socks?
I think when you talk about knowledge, it gets me a bit lost because knowledge as in, I think when you say knowledge, I assume a brain and thinking. Well, like say that tree.
By the way,
that tree grows and that so has knowledge.
No, not necessarily, by the way. Not necessarily brain. Because
Do you see where I'm coming from?
no, not necessarily brain. For example, the computer has knowledge, has certain things, has certain decisions. It doesn't necessarily have a brain. So we're not talking about necessarily has to have a brain.
Yeah, okay.
We're talking about a knowledge, yeah, for this, going back to the point, this higher power that has created this universe, it should have knowledge to create these sophisticated things the way that it is structured as it is. So if you say the absence of knowledge with this higher power, it will cause chaos, which it will end up by creating nothing. So that's why if it's powerful, and we know if something is very powerful to do things, and if they do things randomly without knowing what they do, then it will end up by making chaos and destruction rather than making things that's flourishing and that exist in this sophisticated universe. So that's what I meant by higher power. Yeah? Do you agree?
I don't know. When you say agree, it kind of forces me to say yes or no.
No, because we end up, by the way, I'm not forcing. I'm here. I'm not for. Yeah. There's no one behind you. But
we got the cameras and everything.
Yeah, I know. No, but I'm just putting you in a place where you should be thinking logically.
Yeah.
That place, to think logically, you have to agree that there is a higher power that has created this universe, and this higher power must have knowledge to create this universe. Simple as that. There is no.
I don't think I do. And like, I probably will butcher trying to justify it, but in my head, that's just how I think. You know?
I understand, but my point is to you again. We have to understand the first concept about the higher power, that should have a power, should be powerful, and it should have knowledge. These are fundamentals. You cannot take it out. You cannot take knowledge out of this higher power. Otherwise, the way the universe that it exists, the way that we know, it will never happen. So that's why what I'm saying to you, of course, I understand you've been put off by religion. I understand you've been put off by the existence of God because of the faith that you were in. I understand. I do understand this. But this not necessarily goes everywhere. So that's why what I'm saying, when we are using our own reasons, yeah, and our own logic, then it will make us to end by believing in there is a higher power, and this higher power, should have knowledge. That's my point. So if we agree on this, then we're gonna go to the next step. Does this higher power has a will? That's the next question. Now, that's my point here. When we agree on these points, then the next step is to say, does it have a will? Meaning, an independent will, not like what you said, you're forcing me to say, saying to decide this higher power has to decide to choose to do things and choose not to do things. Yeah? So, and if it's knowledgeable and has the knowledge, it should have independent will. It was so powerful, which means all powers, and so knowledgeable, which means all knowing, should have an independent will. And that is the definition of God, basically. Now, whether we like it or not, this is the situation. Now, here the next question: if we believe where we came from God, God has created us, then the next question comes to us: what are we doing here? Yeah. So when God is this all-powerful, all-knowing, created us as a human being in a, you could say, in an extraordinary way compared to the other creatures and other animals, and we have a decisions that our decision has an impact to everything surrounding us. That means the same thing in the logical concepts that the more knowledge the person has, the more responsibility they have, yeah? And the more, knowledge is power. And not just that, and the more the person has more free in terms of choices and will, that means the responsibility is more. For example, if there are in hierarchy in army, the soldier has certain choices, but doesn't have like the officer, and the officer doesn't have like someone who's a captain, and the captain doesn't have someone who's like a colonel or a brigadier or general. Each one, the more the person has more independence, or has more, you could say, free of choices and free will that they have, that means the responsibility is more. Yeah. So for us as a human being, yes, we have more responsibility compared to the animals. Yeah. So what's our responsibility compared to them? Is it just Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh? Is our responsibility just eat, drink, reproduct? Is that all? Do you think that's our purpose of existence? Is that all?
What do I think my purpose is, or in general?
In general.
My purpose is in general, sorry. In general?
Let's say what about you?
My purpose is to change the world for the better.
Better. Can you define me what is better?
Better, as in better than how I grew up. I want to leave it. Better than how I found it. So in terms of with climate change, in terms of, I don't know.
If you don't believe, can I say to you something? If you don't believe in God, and you don't believe in a higher power, you don't believe, that means how can you define what is good and bad?
What is good and bad? Good and bad is on a spectrum. You can't say yes or no, because like someone might define something as good and another person might find it as bad.
But okay, then why we have to go with your choices of good and bad?
What do you mean why we have to go with your choices?
You said you wanted to change the world.
Say there's a person that enjoyed killing people for fun. Like of course, like the answer is like we'd say that's bad, right? Like, but why? Like there needs to be an explanation of why, and you can't just say because killing people is wrong. Like you have to have it has to be. Or that's a more extreme example, but like.
Yeah. For example, to say good and bad, because you said you want to change it to better. Who told you? Maybe now many people believe this now is better than what you think to change it. Even we compare with the pollution and everything, they said, okay, it's good to have it, whatever the way that it is. So you see here, when you lose God in any of our understanding to this life, of course our conclusion will be not right. This is how it is. This is the reality. That's whether you like it or not. This is the reality. Because the issue is, let me tell you something. I assume you are from the United States, correct?
No, New Zealand.
New Zealand, okay. Okay, good. So, for example, Germany. Nazis believed they were doing something good. Believed they were serving the humanity. They believed this. They're sincere. Maybe they're sincere what they do. But and if you ask them, they said, okay, we're not doing something wrong. We're doing whatever they wanted to decide. Because when you are using your own analogy to decide what is good, what is bad, or to leave it on the community, for example, to decide what's good and bad. So community could lead us to decide good and bad according to the community itself. Like in Germany, they literally, most of the German people voted for Hitler, voted for the Nazis, believed the Hitler and all the Nazis, what they do is something good. So that's the conclusion that they have. Even we have people still living nowadays believed in the Nazi system. Still, they believe in the hierarchy of the white race compared to the other compared to other races. They believed in this. They believe in this. Now, to say to them you are wrong, based on what? Or to say this world is wrong, based on what? Because if you don't have an independent
standard.
Yeah, if you don't have a standard or an independent, like a system, which has nothing to do with the human being, but has the knowledge to decide what is right, what's bad for them, then in that case, yes, that's what we are saying. We are saying this system has to come from the Creator, which has has the knowledge, which is all-knowing. He is all-knowing, and that's why when this God created us, as well created us with a system, and that's why we are born with these things. We are born that has certain aspect of morality. Yeah, we are born with certain things, like we are born not harming others, not good. Generally, yeah, we are born with these things, with these, and as well we are born inclined to believe in one God. We are born with this. So that's why. What's your name, by the way? Eddie.
What's yours?
My name is Muhammad. Yeah, nice meeting you. Nice meeting you, Eddie. So that's why, Eddie, we are inviting you to Islam.
Yeah.
Islam is different than Christianity, which doesn't make sense actually to many Christian people. God is a three, and then came in a human form and died. No, that's not the God of Islam. The God of Islam is all powerful, all-knowing, has independent will. There is no point that God can be weak. There is no point that God can be ignorant. There is no point God can have no will. Always was and will, all-powerful. Always was and will, all-knowing. Always was and will, has independent will. So that's the main thing about God. Of course, has other attributes, but those are the main ones that makes us to incline to believe in His existence. So that's what we are inviting you to Islam. And Islam, as you know, it's a system. There is a system, and there is a ways. There is.
Can I come to one of your mosques?
No problem, you can. Are you here until when?
I'm living here.
Okay, good. Are you here on next Wednesday? Wednesday in London. Are you in London? Wednesday?
Next Wednesday. I don't think I am. I'm here this Wednesday.
This Wednesday?
Yeah.
This Wednesday. Are you here?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know Regent's Park Mosque?
No.
Okay, just Google Regent's Park Mosque or London Central Mosque. I will be there this Wednesday.
Okay.
So come, just contact me. Take my number.
Yeah.
So when you get there, we'll take you a tour around the mosque. We'll talk more in depth if you wish. But do you have any questions about the things that I mentioned to you? I wanted you to do something for me just today.
I am kind of a bit lost, by I first bit of it I understood but then I did kind of lose where you were trying to go with it. So
yeah. Okay. Now, do you understand what's the structure that
I do. Yeah.
Do you understand this?
There's a starting point.
Yeah.
And the purpose behind it.
Yeah. And as well, eventually we're gonna die.
Yeah.
And then after we die, we're going to be standing before God, and God will judge us on that day. And that is another key thing that makes you to think those people who have done crimes in this world, who have done crimes in this world, and they got away with their crimes, where is the justice? Because we believe as well, in our nature, we believe in justice.
Yeah.
We believe there is justice. Yeah. And when you see oppression, when you see the justice not implemented, we see there's something wrong.
Yeah.
How can we? That's the same thing makes you. I wanted to change the thing to the better thing.
What's Islam's view on the afterlife, where we go when we die?
Okay, we believe anyone who submit his will or her will to the will of God by testifying, saying the testimony, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I testify there is none worthy of worship except Allah. Allah means the one God in Arabic. And to testify that Muhammad is the Prophet and Messenger of Allah. And of course, we believe in all other prophets and messengers of Allah as prophets, as men, like Jesus, like Moses, like all of them. And God has sent them to convey His message to the people. So we believe in all of them, and we believe as well that God has created angels to convey the message from Him to these prophets and messengers. And as well, we believe in the last day. That means after we die, we're going to be resurrected, we're going to be standing before God. And the first thing that we are judged is our submission to God. Anyone who didn't submit his will to the will of God will have an eternal punishment in the hellfire. And anyone who submitted his will to the will of God, that's the first concept to say by saying the Shahada and following the instruction of God. Of course, they're going to gain salvation, they're going to go to paradise. So there is a paradise, yes, there is a paradise, and we're going to have the pleasure of the paradise. And in there, then it's a pleasure, not a test. We are living in a time with a test and the eternal pleasure in the hereafter. So that's what generally what we believe as Muslims. Yeah? So there is hellfire, there is paradise, and
Something interesting. I'll grab your number.
What? Yeah,
I'll grab text or WhatsApp?
No, text me.
Text?
Let me write you my.
So you...
Yeah, that's my number. My name is Sheikh Muhammad. Yeah, just text me your name.
It's Eddie from the park.
Okay, all right, Eddie. So hopefully this Wednesday that you come.
What time?
Evening, sometime in the evening. Just call me before you go there. And then we'll.
Are you? What's the? Because I still don't obviously know a lot about Islam. Well, are you a priest or like?
I'm a teacher, like Islamic teacher and imam. Yeah, they call it. They call it teacher or imam or sheikh. Some people they call it sheikh as imam or. Yeah, I'm a teacher and imam as well. So let me know when you come. And I wanted you to read more about Islam. Do you have a Quran? Did the brothers give you a Quran?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So read more about Islam. That's what I'm advising you. And as well today, you when you go home, just take a shower. Do you live alone?
No. Flat.
Okay. Take a shower and go to your room and sit down and say, God, if you are there, I know you are there, guide me to the right path. That's all.
Do I have to wear long pants and long
It doesn't matter. Now at this point, there's only better to wear something, decent and, something wrong. But the point is for you, I wanted you just to ask God to guide you to the right path. That's all. Be sincere in that. And then the lost, you said I was lost and I feel I'm lost. That feeling, it will fade away. If you are sincere, it will fade away. Then you realize what you are doing here, where you came from, what you are doing here, and then after that you say what you're supposed to do here and where you are going. Yeah?
Thank you very much.
All right, Eddie.
It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure.
I'll see you Wednesday.
All right, hopefully we'll see you. All right, look after yourself.
You too.
I'm glad talking to you today.
You too.
All right.
Very sweet.
All right. I wish that was beneficial what we spoke about.
For sure. I think I'm just keen to learn about other religions in general.
Good.
And other people's perspectives, because I think there's so much to learn from other people if you just shut up and listen.
As Muslims,
a lot of these people who are just bickering, I don't think there's much point of that.
As Muslims, we don't believe in coincidence. There is no coincidence. Today you came here by God's will, and we ask God, we ask Allah to guide you to the right path. And we meet you on Wednesday, hopefully. At least you'll have a clearer understanding. All right? All right.
so much.
Take care. All right, take care.
It's exactly what I told my wife. Before my wife was I'm a convert to Islam.
MashaAllah.
I told her the exact same thing when I was telling her about Islam is go home, take a shower. I gave her Quran, so go home, take a shower, and just ask what
Yes.
you think. Alhamdulillah, she's a Muslim today.
Alhamdulillah. So that's why, for all, this is a request for all the brothers and sisters, and for everyone. Yeah, the guidance, as we mentioned before, guidance is three things. Guidance to show you the right path. That's a guidance. And the guidance to lead you to the right path. Like, for example, to say, I wanted to go to such and such, I will point to you, it's there. Yeah, or I will take your hand to take you there. And this is the second guidance. So the first guidance, showing you the path. The second guidance is leading you to that path. And the third guidance is to keep you firm upon that path. So these are the guidance. And that's why we keep asking Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala at least 17 times a day, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Guide us to the right path. The guidance of showing us the right path, guidance of leading us to the right path, and the guidance to keep us firm upon that path. We ask Allah to guide us all. May Allah reward you all, my brothers and sisters. May Allah increase us all in knowledge and iman. And as well for those ones, the non-Muslims who are watching as well, we are urging you to read more about Islam and to understand more about Islam. And the same advice, what I have advised the brother, go take a shower and sit down and ask God to guide you. Say, God, I know you're there. I know you hear me. I know you see me. Just guide me to the right path. And inshallah, by Allah's will, Allah will guide you to the right path. May Allah reward you all and bless you all. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanak Rabbi Hamdulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahu barakatuh. Yes. You want it on the, off the camera?